All right. What's up out there to all of my fellow gold diggers? This is your girl Rita, also known as the self-proclaimed gold digger. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I am so glad to have you. And if you are a fellow gold digger, welcome back. Y'all know I love and I appreciate each and every one of you. And tonight, it is time for Tipsy Tuesday. And tonight's topic, we are going to be talking about, is this $1 million idea or is this just midnight madness? Okay. So we are going to be talking about how you can vet and see if your side hustle is the real deal. Is it legit or is it possible to flop? And we're going to play a game a little bit later. Now, before we get into it fully, y'all know I got to do my social media checks and I haven't done any church announcements lately. So I got a shout out as well as a church announcement for y'all. But let me just do my social media checks really, really quickly and make sure we are good on all ends. I am feeling awesome today. And I hope y'all have been having a wonderful day as well as a wonderful week. All right, let me check one other spot. And then we should be good to go. I'm hoping all of these videos have been helpful to you guys. I'm hoping it has been giving you some ideas for your business, for your side hustle, for you just to go after different things and achieve your different goals. Okay. So we are good on all ends. If for some reason you're not hearing me or seeing me, please let me know in the comment section. Okay. All right. So if you are new to Tipsy Tuesday, basically what we do is we take some sips, and I am sipping on my water. And as we're sipping, I am sharing some tips. And usually I am spilling the tea about entrepreneur stuff, about side hustles, about making some money, about increasing your bag and securing your bag as well. And tonight's topic is going to be no different. So we are going to be vetting that side hustle idea, that idea that you had in your head that came to you late that night in a dream or when you woke up, and now you're so excited about it, but you don't know, is it going to be fire or is it actually going to flop? Okay. And we're actually going to be playing a game a little bit later called Flop or Fire, as we talk about potential businesses or businesses, whether or not they succeeded or were they a success or not based off of the idea. So we're going to be doing it a little bit later on. But before we get into it, y'all really love me, huh? Y'all really love me because I want to give a shout out to all of my new subscribers out there, because your girl, she hit her goal of getting to 6,000 subscribers. So on last week, I told you I was really close to hitting it. And with your help, I was able to hit that goal of getting to 6,000 subscribers. So I always want to make sure I give y'all a shout out. I always want to make sure I say thank you. Okay. So thank you to everyone, every new subscriber who became interested in my channel, who found that who felt that I could provide you with some helpful information or valuable information and took the time out and hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Also, I'm always going to give a shout out to those folks who have been rocking with me from the very, very beginning. I call them my A1 day ones. Thank y'all for sticking around, riding it out with me, hanging out with me through all the ups and downs, the different changes that I have gone through in my channel, whether it was me talking about mystery shopping, whether it was talking about notary, whether it was talking about my business, whatever it is. Thank you for rocking with me and still riding with me and still sharing my videos, liking my videos, watching my videos, and helping me as well to get to 6,000 subscribers. Y'all, it's a good feeling, because I remember when I first was starting, and it was just hard to get to 100 subscribers and then trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And now I'm at 6,000 subscribers. So I don't take anything lightly. I don't take anything for granted. I'm just so appreciative of everyone who has found my channel helpful, who has decided to subscribe. and to tune in. So I hope that I will continue to provide you with helpful information that will be beneficial to you, that will help you to have the glow up, for you to blow up, and for you to secure your bag. All right. All right, enough about that. Oh, the church announcement I have, y'all. I promised y'all that I was going to do some recorded videos. I know it's only 2 more days in July, but I promised y'all I was going to give y'all 2 recorded videos in July, and I am a woman of my word, so I am going to be doing that. So be on the lookout. There will be 2 recorded videos as well with helpful information in there for you, for your business, so that you can be successful. But let's go ahead and get into tonight's topic, where we're talking about, okay, before you quit your job, because you had this amazing idea that for a side hustle that you just knew was going to make you into a millionaire. Before you quit your job, before you start cussing out your boss or whatever, I want you to vet your side hustle with these few questions that I want you to ask yourself, okay? To make sure it's a solid business, and make sure it's something that you can grow and scale and actually make money from, okay? So that's what we're going to be getting into tonight. So go ahead, sit back, get comfortable, grab your drink, grab your snacks as we talk about it. And y'all, I'm liking incorporating the game, so I'm excited to play the little game with you guys as well later on. This will not be a long side hustle Saturday. Not side hustle Saturday. Tipsy Tuesday. Maybe that's a sign that I need to do a side hustle Saturday. This will not be a very long Tipsy Tuesday, so I'm not going to be here for a long time, but we are going to have a good time, okay? So let's go ahead and rock and roll and get into it. So the first way that I want you to vet your business or vet your side hustle to see if it is actually going to be legit is I want you to do your homework. What do I mean by doing your homework? I need you to do some market research. Whatever idea you have, see if that idea is already out there. And if it is out there, in what form does that look like? How is it operating? Is it a small business? Is it a large business? How many locations? That kind of thing. Look at it and do some market research, because if it's already out there in the market, then the people who are already doing the thing that you want to bring to fruition, there are going to be things that you can learn from them. There are going to be things that you can glean from them. There are going to be processes, systems that you can observe and that you can take into your own business. So do your market research. See how they're operating, see what kind of customers they're serving, see where they're located. If it's actually a brick and mortar location, like see what kind of communities they're located in, observe the type of people who come into the business, and see what they might be getting or ordering or whatever it is, depending on the business. Look at that and do your market research. Now, that's what you should do. Now, if you find out that it is already in the market and the market is saturated, that doesn't, even if the market is saturated, that doesn't necessarily mean for you to give up on your business idea. If the market is saturated, all that means is that you need to stand out, okay, in that saturation. That means you're going to have to be like 10 times better, 20 times better, so that you can stand out in the marketplace, okay? There is no harm with the market being saturated. I've used this example before. If you ever went to buy a car, a lot of times the car dealerships, they will have, there'll be like a series of car dealerships all on the same street, all on the same side of the street. And they do that because if everyone is in the vicinity and they're shopping for a car, maybe if they didn't see a car that they liked on this particular lot, they'll go down to the next lot, which is only, a few steps away, and be able to observe the cars that they have. So just because it is saturated, that doesn't mean you need to give up necessarily on that particular side hustle or business idea, but you do need to stand out. You need to find a way to stand out. So that's why doing your research, seeing what kind of specials they offer, see what kind of systems they have in place, that will be helpful and beneficial to you. All right. So the second thing you need to do in order to vet and see, is this idea something that you can scale and make money from, is first and foremost, you need to know who your target audience is. Who is your target customer? And not only do you know who your target customer is, you need to realize, what are they willing to pay? Okay. Do they have the means to pay for it? Because One, if you know who your target audience is or your target customer is, you can tailor your product or your service to meet their particular needs. Okay. But if you are trying to sell to everybody, then you're pretty much selling to nobody, because you should have a specific avatar in mind, a specific person in mind. Like your avatar, you should know like what they look like, what type of car they drive, what kind of house they live in, or the kind of house they rent from. What are they doing on the weekends? You should have this idea in mind of the your target demographic and what they are going to buy. Like, what are they doing on a day-to-day basis? What are they doing on the weekend? How do they vacation? All that kind of stuff. You want to have that idea in mind. That way you can better meet their need, as well as better service their need. Okay. But if you don't know who your ideal client is, then that puts some limitations on how you are going to be able to market your product to them. Okay. Now, here's the thing. You might say, because I've heard this from other people that I have coached and been with in business and stuff like that. Well, my product can benefit anybody, or the service that I provide, it's everybody could benefit from it. Yes, that very well may be the case. Okay, just like a toothbrush, all of us need a toothbrush. Okay, but if you don't know, they have the toothbrush, they got the hard, the medium, the soft, and everything like that. They got the motorized toothbrush, they got the ones with the special little bristles and all that kind of stuff. If you don't know, even though everybody needs a toothbrush, and everybody can surely benefit from using a toothbrush, if you don't know who your ideal client is, then you might be having if your client is kids and you got these big old grown people toothbrushes, your product is not going to sell. Okay, so just because someone can benefit from your product or your service, you still need to dial it in and find your specific avatar, your specific demographic or customer base, who you are servicing, who you are catering to. Okay. And know what their spending habits are, know what they can afford. The other thing I see is some people will say, well, I want to help kids, or I want to help students, or I want to help people in college or something like that. If your product or your service is targeted to kids, yes, they are the consumer that's going to benefit from it, but your ideal client is their parents, and you need to know what kind of parent are you targeting. Are you targeting the parent who is all involved in everything that their kid does? Are you targeting the sports parent, the sports mom, the soccer moms and stuff like that? What kind of parent are you targeting? Okay, even though the kid is your ideal customer, the key thing that makes them not your ideal that doesn't make them your actual target customer is that they can't pay for it. Okay, the people who are doing the paying, the people who are going to be actually buying it, even though they're buying it for their child, the people who are actually going to be buying it is the parent. So you need to dial in and see what kind of parent they are. Are they a parent who lives, in the city, or are they living in the suburbs? Do they drive a minivan, or do they drive, a sedan, or maybe they even drive a truck? Like, you got to dial it in and see who that person is to kind of fine tune your messaging and make sure your messaging is hitting them as well as they are able to receive the message. Okay. So know who your target customer is and find out what they're willing to pay for your product or your service. Okay. And when you do that, you're able to get some feedback and get to see what is the demand for your product or your service. Okay. Now, as you're doing it, one of the things you do need to be wary of is that some people, they'll say they'll buy something from you, but they don't always follow through. So if you're like gathering your market research and you're like, hey, I'm coming out with this new product or this new service on the that I'm trying to promote and stuff, is this something that you would actually buy? And some people might say yes. Yes, they might buy it if it's at the right price point. So you want to kind of find out, okay, would you buy it? How often would you buy it? What would you be willing to pay for it? That kind of thing. Because sometimes people will say that they will buy it, but in reality, they're not going to follow through with it. So what that means is it's not a big enough problem for them to buy it right then in that moment. So, or at any time. So you need to find out, when is it a big enough problem that they pull the trigger and actually buy it? When does it become enough of a pain point that they want to eliminate this pain or eliminate this issue that they have to actually buy it? Okay. So if you're like, well, how am I supposed to know that? Okay. Well, here's what you can do, or here's what you can ask them as you're gathering your research. If this is a new product, something new that you're trying to promote, or even something new that they have not experienced before, maybe it's been on the market, they just don't know about it or whatever. You can ask them, okay, this product solves this particular problem, or this service solves this particular problem. What have you been doing in the past to alleviate your stress from this issue, or alleviate this problem? You need to find out, what have they been doing before? Because if the new product has too much friction, like if it's too much stuff, if it's too much steps involved, if it's a big price difference from what they were doing before, even though they say, oh yeah, I would definitely get that because it'll help me out or whatever, or it helps me with this particular issue. But if there's too much friction there, they probably aren't going to pull the trigger. Okay. It's a nice to have, but it's not something that they will actually get, because they've already found a solution. Even though it might not be the best solution, it's the solution they have because it's either easier, it's less expensive, or something like that. But if the solution they have, there's more friction involved with it. And when I say friction, I just mean it's just more hurdles, more things that they have to jump through to get to the solution. And your product or your service eliminates those hurdles that they have to jump through. Then yes, they'll probably pull the trigger and buy whatever you have to offer when it comes to your product or service. So that's how you find out, even though it's something that, that they would probably get or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I would love to have a Bentley. Am I going to buy a Bentley? No, it's nice to have. So if someone said, would you buy this car? Would I buy a Bentley? Yes, I would. I would buy a Bentley. Am I actually going to buy the Bentley? No, because I can buy a less expensive car that is going to do the same thing. But yes, I would buy a Bentley, So you just got to remember that as you're doing your market research. Sometimes people say, yeah, I buy that, because they would if they had the money, if they had the actual need and all that kind of stuff for it. And it's something good to have. There's nothing wrong with your product. There's nothing wrong with your service, but they have to have a big enough problem in order to pull the trigger to get it. And also, whatever solution they were using before has to have a lot more hurdles or a lot more problems than what your product or service is currently offering. Okay. I hope that makes sense to y'all. If it not, let me know and I'll try and find a different example or a different way to explain that. Okay. All right. The next way that you have to see that idea that you came up with in the middle of the night, to see if it's a good idea, is you need to validate the value this product or service provides. Okay. What kind of value is it bringing to the table? So we talked about this a little bit with the last one. What is your product or service? What problem is it solving? Okay. And the problem that it's solving, the pain point has to be strong enough. Just like I told you, it has to be strong enough for them to want to pull the trigger. Okay. Now, if you're creating a product or a service and it's really not a major pain point for someone, then they're probably not going to buy it. Or I want you to keep this in mind too. If it's a pain point only sometimes, like maybe it's something that's seasonal or something like that. Maybe it's like they need, I don't know. Maybe it's something like it's cold and they need an ice scraper for their car or something like that. If you came out with this new and great kind of ice scraper that they can use on their car windshield, guess what? The pain point is going to be in the wintertime. The pain point is going to be in the states that is really, really cold, that gets snow and ice and that kind of stuff. And if you down south, like where I am, even though you came up with this great idea for this ice scraper, this new and improved ice scraper, you're probably not going to have a lot of business unless you're selling it to states where it has those particular problems. Okay. So you need to know what value your product or service is bringing to the market, and make sure that it is meeting a big enough painful point for someone to want to do something. Okay. Because if you're trying to sell ice scrapers down south where I am, you ain't gonna you're not going to get a whole lot of business. I mean, do we get ice? Yes. We had a rare ice storm in, I want to say, January or February this year. Does it happen often? No. Is it enough for me to buy an ice scraper or some fancy dancy ice? No. Okay, now I'm just using these as examples, okay? But you have to know the value that your product or service is going to be providing and make sure it's addressing a big enough pain point. Otherwise, it's not going to do so well in the market, okay? All right, let me see how I'm doing on time, and let me make sure I don't have any comments. All right, time-wise, we're doing, well, shoot, I might not go through all of them because actually I'm only going to spend maybe like another 5 or 10 minutes. No comments, y'all, but let me know if y'all have any questions. I'm only going to spend another 5 or 10 minutes. We've only done 3 points because that means I've been talking too much, and I have about 10. So let me see. I'm going to skip around a little bit so that we can get through this so that we can do this game. All right. So the fourth thing I have is you need to, if you want to see if your idea is going to be $1 million idea or it's just something, it's just a hot mess, is you need to analyze the market size and the scalability, okay? So how big is the market for it? Going back to the ice scraper analogy, like down south is not a big enough market for you to bring a product or a service like that into the area, and you're probably not going to be able to scale it. Now, if you were doing that same thing in Alaska, then the market is a lot bigger, or someplace colder, like up north or something like that. Yes, the market is a lot bigger, and you can probably scale it and increase it and stuff like that. So look at the market size. Like how big is the market? How big is the demand for it? And also, can I scale it up? Okay. Is there enough demand for me to be able to scale this particular product or service? Okay. Now, here's a little drawback that I want you to keep in mind too. If your product is so specific or so tailored to a specific need or something like that, there might be a very, very small niche for it. If there's a small niche for it, that can limit your growth, okay? So just be mindful of that. If it's only for like a very, very specific demographic or a specific customer or client, that can limit the growth that you might have when it comes to bringing that product or that service to the market. All right. The fifth thing you want to do is you need to look at what is your competitive advantage, or what is like your unique selling point. Okay. So how do you stand out in the market? How are you able to differentiate and distinguish yourself from other competitors that might be selling something that's similar to what you have, or providing something that's similar to what you have? What is your competitive advantage? All right. And even if, let's say you were selling lemonade, okay, and now there's plenty of people out there selling lemonade. What makes your lemonade so much better? What gives you the competitive advantage over your competition? Is yours because your lemons are made from, the freshest lemons that come straight from Florida or something like that? Is it hand squeezed? Is it you don't use any artificial sweeteners or sugars or anything like that? Is it you have a certain process that you put the lemons through? Whatever your unique selling point is, that is your competitive advantage, okay? Does yours have less calories? Does yours not add any fat or whatever? Whatever it is, that's what you need to market to people. Because otherwise, and I'm using lemonade just as an example, otherwise they're going to be like, this lemonade probably the same as this other lemonade. Like, what's the big difference? Especially if there is a price difference between yours and your competition. Because what is going to make someone pay more for something that they already view as the same? So you have to see what your unique selling point is, or your unique angle is, okay? And be mindful. If you only make a marginal improvement or a slight improvement, that might not be enough to make a difference for people to want to get your product or get your service or spend more on your product or service, okay? Now, we are going to skip a little bit. So that was the fifth one. So I think I'm going to end it with this last one here. So if you really want to test out to see if your $1 million idea, is it really going to generate you $1 million? Do a small launch or do a small little test of it, okay? So test it out, like get a small sample size of people who you think can benefit benefit from it, get their feedback, see what they love about it, see what they hate about it, see how it compared to whatever they might have previously been using. So also, now here's the key thing. If you are going to test it out amongst people, you want to test it out with someone who is going to be your ideal customer or client, okay? You don't want to test it out with some randos. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're testing it out, if you're, I don't know, if you're testing it out with someone who doesn't really even use a product or service that you really have on a regular basis, the feedback you get might not be the best. It might not be the most accurate. Now, there is something to be said about someone testing out the product who has never experienced it before or never used something similar before. But if you're trying to do something on a small scale, you want to make sure you're testing it out with people who actually would use the product or service. And I don't have a good example for this, but it's like if you got this new cigarette coming out, you don't want to test it amongst people who ain't smoking, okay? I mean, unless you want to test it out with people who are already smoking to see what their feedback is. That's a bad example, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. All right, but that's where I'm going to wrap it up and end it, since we are running out of time. And I told y'all I didn't want to be on here too long, and I want to play our little game called Flop or Fire. Y'all have to let me know. Last week we did a game as well, so y'all have to let me know if y'all are enjoying the games. All right, so we're going to play this little game, and then we are going to wrap it up for the evening. All right, so basically this game is called Flop or Fire, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a scenario about a particular company, and we're going to see if this company ended up being a flop, meaning that they were not successful at all, or if this company is absolutely fire, like they are on fire, they are making money, their idea took off because they had $1 million idea, okay? So let's have a little bit of fun with this, and y'all can let me know what y'all think as well. All right, so the first scenario I have, here's the scene that I'm going to be setting for you. All right, so I want you to picture this. It's 2009, so it's been a little while, okay? It's 2009. You're leaving a party. You're leaving a happy hour, so to speak. So you've been drinking. I've been drinking. So you've been drinking, okay? You've been having a good old time. Your phone battery is dead. It's like on 3%. And then all of a sudden, a random dude pulls up in a black car and says, all right, hop on in. I'll take you home, all right? What are you going to do? Are you going to run for your life, or are you going to get in the car with them? All right. So in this particular scenario, if you have not already guessed, this is the idea that pretty much Uber had. Uber, all before there were taxis that you could call or hail or whatever for them to come and pick you up. But Uber came out and they got regular people in their regular cars to come around and pick people up. And it started back like around 2009. So you would have a random dude or random person, I should say, pick you up from a bar, pick you up outside your home, and you would gladly hop in the car with them and pay them money to do so, okay? Who knew that we would be riding with strangers and hopping in vehicles? And, all before when I was growing up, they was like, don't you hitchhike, don't you... Like, I remember my parents telling me, don't you hitchhike, don't you catch no ride with strangers. Nowadays, we catch rides with strangers on the regular, and we pay them to do so, okay? So the idea, it probably sounded crazy, especially for my generation, like growing up being told not to hitchhike or whatever, even though Uber is not like hitchhiking, but you weren't supposed to ride with strangers. And essentially, the Uber, Lyft, all of that kind of stuff is you are literally getting in a car with a stranger you do not know, okay? Now, here's the thing when it came to Uber. When they first started, they had a bunch of legal battles for this very reason, because people were saying it was dangerous, okay? Because like I said, my generation, we weren't playing that. They like, too many people been hitchhiking. They got killed by axe murder and all this kind of stuff. And now you want people to willingly get in a car with a stranger, and now it's an everyday thing. Like the taxis and stuff are losing money because we hopping in the cars with strangers, okay? But they had a lot of legal battles because of the dangerous nature, or what people would consider dangerous. And now Uber is a multi-billion-dollar company, okay? And has totally changed our landscape and how we even travel or get from one place to another. So if you go in a city, and you catch an Uber because you don't feel like driving, or it's just easier to navigate the city without your own vehicle. Like you might leave your vehicle parked at the hotel or at the airport or whatever. So now it is a common staple in our life. All right. So that first company was Fire, and it's still thriving today. All right. So I have another scenario for you. So for this scenario, we're gonna take it back in time one more time. A little bit further. So we're going back to 2008. All right. And it's 2008, and you're traveling to a different city or something. And some guy online says, hey, you know what? I got a twin size air mattress on the floor of my apartment, and you can come and you can stay with me. And it's only going to be $35 a night. And he like, I ain't got no breakfast, and you ain't gonna have no key really to the house or anything like that. There's no housekeeping or anything like that, but you can come, you can use my air mattress, and it'll be a lot cheaper if you stay in a hotel. Do y'all think that was flop or fire? Excuse me. Y'all know that was fire. It don't sound like it was fire. Like now we went from catching rides. We were catching rides with random strangers. Now we are staying in the houses of random strangers, okay? And this is essentially how Airbnb got started, all right? We stay in the house of strangers. And at that time when Airbnb first started, it was like literally people renting rooms in their houses. Now, of course, look at how it has definitely changed. Now, instead of renting rooms, people rent out their whole house usually for people to stay in. And some people, especially in the real estate community, even buy whole houses just to use for Airbnb to rent out to other people. Okay. So it has transformed the real estate landscape. It has transformed the hotel landscape of how we're doing stuff. Okay. So Airbnb was a very successful business, even though the idea of you coming to a new city and you staying in a stranger's home for however many nights you're going to be there, and utilizing one of their rooms, it sounded very strange at the time. But y'all, if these companies have shown us anything, we will do something strange to make that change. All right. So Airbnb is, definitely thriving now. But y'all know I always like to bring a little bit of facts or factual information, because I'm a little I like to nerd out on certain stuff. So I like to get some facts associated with it. But when Airbnb was coming up, it was rejected by investors 7 times. Like nobody didn't want to invest in this company. So people did not believe that this company was going to be successful, probably for the same reasons why they didn't feel like Uber was going to be successful, because it was too dangerous. Like you staying at somebody's house that you don't even know or whatever. So it was rejected by investors 7 times, but now it's worth over $100 billion. So it's not only was $1 million idea, it was $1 billion idea with a B. Okay. Now I say all that to say, because sometimes we come up with these strange ideas, these weird ideas that nobody has ever heard of. People might reject you. People might be like, girl, ain't nobody trying to do that. Like, where you get that from? Who you think gonna pay you for that? Who you think gonna pay you to do that? But these companies are examples of people will pay for that. And because you had the idea, you can totally transform that particular industry. Like Uber transformed the riding industry with taxis and stuff like that. And Airbnb has totally changed like the hotel and hospitality industry when it comes to those kinds of things. All right. Now I do have another one. I think these are fun. Y'all let me know. Do y'all think, are y'all enjoying these? All right. So This one we're going back in time some more, even further back. We're going back to the 90s. All right. So we're in the 90s, y'all. What a great time to be alive. And you are walking by this coffee place, okay? And they're selling coffee for like $4. And you could go to your local coffee place around the corner and you could get some coffee for $1.50. And these fools trying to sell you coffee for $4. All right. All right. Are you paying that exorbitant price, or are you gonna be like, deuces, I'm out of here? Okay. So was this company fire or was it a flop? Y'all probably know what company I'm referring to. This is Starbucks. Starbucks conditioned us to pay an exorbitant amount of money for some fancy coffee that didn't even have it, and we didn't even know how to order it. I still don't know how to order it half the time, because they don't even have like the regular sizes. They don't have small, medium, and large. You know, they got that what is it, grande, tall, and venti. They got to speak in a whole nother language and ordering this expensive coffee, and we are totally okay with it. They have changed the landscape, okay? But they are a company that has been very, very successful, okay? And at the time when they came out, people said nobody would pay that much for coffee, okay? But now there's a Starbucks on almost every corner. And even though they want us to say these fancy names like Grande and Venti and all that kind of stuff, half the time they can't even spell our names right when we order the coffee. But that is neither here nor there, okay? All right. Let's see. I think I'm going to try and do 2 more. I don't know. Oh, there's some good ones. Y'all, I'm going to see how many I can get through, because there's some good ones on here. But I'm going to try and wrap it up in like the next 10 minutes or so. All right. So this one, we're not going so far back in time. This one is only about 10 years old when this idea came about. This is 2013. And in 2013, some dude, he says that he has this app. You look at someone's picture and you just swipe left or you swipe right. And that's how you find the love of your life. Okay. Now, if you heard that back in 2013, are you going to be swiping to find the love of your life, or are you going to think it's a scam? Now, many people probably thought it was a scam, but this company and many others like it have been very successful. And this is the company Tinder, okay? At the time when Tinder first came out, its critics thought that it was shallow and that it wasn't going to be successful and it wasn't going to be around very long. But now Tinder is actually the top dating platform, and it has over 75 million users. 75 million users. That is a whole lot of people, okay? But yeah, at the time, people were like, they're not going to be swiping on people's profiles, telling whether or not they like them and think they're actually going to find true love, okay? All right, so I have another one. So the next one I have is this one. We're going further back in time. It's 2004. Now, y'all probably gonna guess this one because I didn't do a good job describing this one. It's 2004. You're outside a grocery store and you see this red box where you can rent DVDs for $1. There's no store. There's no clerk. It is just a box full of DVDs. All right. Are you going to trust this machine and put your money in there, put your credit card in there, or are you walking away? And as you know, many of us trusted the machine. We loved it because also at this time, too, there weren't Blockbusters. Like the Blockbusters that we were used to going to had pretty much, they didn't keep up with the time. So now we have the rental DVD place, which was Redbox. Now they're probably not around anymore because everybody can stream stuff, okay? But Redbox, people initially thought that these kiosks with the DVDs, they were just a dumb idea, especially with Netflix was coming up around that time as well. But during the time that they came out, they crushed DVD rentals for over a decade before, now the streaming services have taken over. So you really don't see the red boxes anymore. But at the time, they did what they were designed to do, because I think also during that time too, because we did not have Blockbuster, and all of us were not on the streaming platforms like Netflix was like mainly maybe one of the only streaming platforms. So the idea of streaming movies and stuff like that, it was an ideal. It was a, and I won't say idea. It was a novel concept that everybody hadn't gravitated to at first. So for the people who still wanted DVDs, and there were no blockbusters around, the red boxes definitely filled that void. That not only filled the void, but it also filled the gap between when we had the Blockbuster to when we've transformed over to the actual streaming platforms and everything. So Redbox did very, very well for, they say, for about 10 years. All right. Now, the next scenario I have is you go onto an app and there are people on there selling their old clothes. They say that they are gently worn. So these are clothes that have been used, okay, but they're not too bad. They're not too scrappy, but they've been gently worn. Now, if you saw this on an app, would you actually rock this outfit, or you gonna be like, nah, I pass. I'm gonna get my clothes fresh, fresh and new. All right. So since then, there have been many of these types of apps on the marketplace, but the one that I'm talking about in particular is Poshmark. So Poshmark, people at the time doubted the fact that people would resell their fashion, but now Poshmark is actually $1 billion company, 1.5 billion at least. So just know, you think people aren't going to buy stuff that you used to wear, or pay money for the things that you used to wear, the fashionable stuff? We do some strange things. Like I said, we do some strange stuff, something strange to make some change. All right. Now, this one, I got to do this one. This one's like, we got some good ones on here. So, all right, we should still finish on time though, because I'm going to make it real, real quick. All right. So let me set the scene. It's 2004. You're in college, and there's this guy, and he wants you to upload all your information to this website that's on the computer. Like, they want you to put your whole identity pretty much on this particular website, and so much so you can add pictures and stuff like that, and you can even like other people's pictures and like your friends' pictures and stuff like that. Are you actually going to sign up for this website, or are you calling campus security on these people? Okay. And most of us, we signed up for it because this was the app, or the web, well, it was the website at the time. Now it is definitely an app. This was a website of Facebook, which is now known as Meta. And y'all can see how much Facebook has grown, and just the fact that it has Instagram, the fact that it has WhatsApp. It has so many different things under its umbrella, under the Meta umbrella. But when it first started out, it was only available to college students. You had to be a college student in order to sign up and get an account. Now, college students don't even want to be a part of Facebook. They on IG, even though it's the same thing. I ain't gonna say it's the same. It's owned by the same company or whatever. But at the time when Facebook first came out, you could only be a college student to sign up for it. Okay. Now everybody and their mama on Facebook, and that's why the young folks don't want to be on there. So I guess I'm an old head because I still rock with Facebook. All right. And this literally started in a dorm room, and now it is, it's the metaverse. It's pretty much Meta. It has grown so big from that one idea that Mark Zuckerberg decided to put into the world. So do not underestimate the power of your ideas. And the running theme that I am sharing here, or that you're seeing displayed here, is that things that seem strange at first, they can literally take over, okay, and be something absolutely amazing, as well as something that can absolutely make you a lot of money. All right. So don't doubt it. Just because everybody doesn't understand the concept at first, that doesn't mean that it's not going to be successful. All right. So let me do these last two. So this next one, This one we're going back to the 90s again. So it's the mid 90s, and you want to buy some books, but you don't want to go into the bookstore. You don't want to be browsing in the bookstore to get books. You actually want to get some books online because you think this is going to be where it's at. But some people are telling you don't buy any books online because this is a scam and you're never ever going to actually see the book. Okay. What company do you think I am speaking of? It is the company that has us in a chokehold now. It is Amazon. Amazon started off with just selling books online. And who would have thought? Now there are virtually no bookstores, which is kind of sad, y'all, because I kind of like going in the bookstore. But now there are virtually no bookstores. But Amazon started with selling books online. Now you just go on Amazon and you can get anything, which is just mind-boggling to think of when you think of it. Just started with selling books from books, literally selling books online, and now you go to Amazon. Like that might be the first place you look. Like if you need something, you're not even going to the store. You're going to say, let me see if I can find it on Amazon. And then it can have it to you the next day or within 2 days. Like I literally ordered something yesterday and it was delivered to my door, this morning, the next day and everything. So, but it started with people ordering books online. All right. And at the time, I forget. Oh, Bezos. I was like, I forgot his name. Bezos was Jeff Bezos. So this idea was laughed at when he first presented it. Okay. They were like, people aren't going to do this. No one believed in this particular idea. But now Amazon is the largest online retailer, not just in the US, globally. It is the largest online retailer. And of course, it sells way more than books. And then the other thing is, it started in his garage. So just look at how that idea took off and just became something amazing. All right, the last thing I'm going to round this up with is this scenario is where we have this app. So it's more modern day, this app, and kids can get on this app or young people can get on the app and they post dance videos, they lip sync, they just do random stuff, say random stuff, and they do it just for 15 seconds. All right. And everybody is saying, all the kids are saying it's going to be the next big thing. Are you going to download this app or are you going to delete the app? Now, the app that I'm talking about, and it's still a little bit questionable, is TikTok. All right, so TikTok is the app that I'm talking about. But when it first came out, a lot of its critics were saying that it was childish, it was just immature and stuff like that. And now it is pretty much a global phenomenon that a lot of people have built their entire careers on. Like, y'all know when they banned TikTok, when they took it away and people were trying to figure out how they were going to make money because that was their livelihood and stuff like that. So just that quick, something took off. And not only did it take off, it transformed the lives of the people who are consuming the content, but as well as the lives of the people who are making content. And now people make money or make their living by doing TikTok videos. Okay. I always think of Kevin Hart. Y'all know I like Kevin Hart. He's like, I'm going to do a TikTok. I'm going to do a TikTok or whatever. But so those are some of the things. And even though the ideas might have seemed strange or crazy, they ended up being a lot of these ended up being not just $1 million ideas. They are $1 billion ideas. So I said all that to say is don't discount your ideas. Okay. Even if it seems crazy, even if it seems far-fetched, even if nobody is believing in you, even if people are saying, oh, this will never work out, do not doubt your idea. If you believe in it, if you believe that it can be something big, then test it out. Use the things that I had suggested at the beginning of the video to see if it's something that could be viable. And then if it's not something, or if you find something that could possibly be a problem, see how you can solve the problem before you bring the idea out into the world, okay? So that it can have maximum impact, all right? All right. So just put it out there. If you have a dream, it can come into fruition. You just got to execute on it. All right. So I hope that was helpful for y'all. That was a lot, and I went over time a little bit. And let's see, I have some comments. What's up, April? Good to see you. She says, hello, all. And then she says, yes, next day shipping. Yes, I just ordered it. And and now it seems like the next day shipping is becoming more of an option because it's not like I chose that particular option. It just said it was going to come the next day. And I was like, okay, cool. I would have waited a little bit, but it came the next day. But yeah, hope this has been helpful for you guys. And once again, April is one of my A1 day ones. So I'm going to say once again, shout out to all of my new subscribers. Thank y'all so much for helping me get to 6,000 subscribers. Y'all know, like I said, I always say this, and I truly mean it. I do not take it for granted at all, given the amount of people who are on YouTube, the amount of videos that you could be watching. So I do not take it for granted at all when you subscribe to my channel, when you hit the like button, when you share it with somebody. I really do appreciate it. All right. So take care, guys, and be on the lookout these last 2 days of the week for the recorded videos. All right. Have a good night.